Okay, we're ready to start recording, and there's a couple of common ways that we can do this live or direct, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But remember that in this project studio, you have constraints of space. So find places where you can do things like background vocals, like your bathroom, or put an amp in a closet. So with that in mind,
in our last program, we talked about doing drum programming in a MIDI sequencer, computer-based MIDI sequencer. So now we're going to do it in a drum machine. I'm going to explain a little bit about how a drum machine works and how you actually do drum programs.
that was really good, Jimmy.
Almost like a live drummer.
Almost, not quite. What I'd like to stress here is when you transfer this information onto tape, I want to make sure that everybody understands. I like to approach drum miking and drum presentation in the stereo picture from the drummer's perspective rather than from the listener's perspective. I like to feel like I'm behind the drums banging away there. So the hi-hat will obviously be in my left and the cymbals will be going from my left to my right. Same with the toms. High tom first, all the way across down to the low toms. Now why is that? Because we've added about 6 dB of boost at 80 cycles. Now that's enough to take down a bloody house. So you've got to be careful. You back your fader off, add your highs, add your mids, add your low mids, or remove them as the case may be, like this. What I like to do sometimes in a live drum situation is to remove some of the lower mid frequencies of the bass drum and add the super low stuff like around the 60 to 80 to 90 hertz. And if you're building a project studio, it's a very cool idea to have a closet available for isolation, because inside we can do stuff like this. Put a bass amp or a guitar amp in the closet. You can mic it up, put some padding on the walls to reduce the amount of sound so your neighbors don't complain. Put some padding on the doors. You could even pad it on the ceiling. Close the door. Let's go over to Greg and see what he's got. And I adjust the output gain so that, as you can tell, I've matched it up to a nice fat zero there. That sounds pretty good. All right, let's check out the bass amp. Okay, I'm gonna move the two condenser microphones onto this lovely Ovation acoustic guitar. That's good. I'm gonna stick this one mic down the bottom end of the guitar and the other mic right near the top end of the neck, away from the boominess of the whole of the guitar. Okay, I'm gonna try the acoustic guitar mics themselves, the two condenser microphones that we so carefully placed. All right, David. All right, what I'd like to do with this, I'd like to give it the benefit of the doubt and include some nice EQ. Okay, let's put this electric guitar part down, try and double up the acoustic guitar. We'll use the Telecaster because it's got a really, really cool twangy sound, and then we'll probably double it up with the SG. Let's hear it, David. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add some EQ in, and it'll be a little bit of low frequency because I feel that the microphone is not giving me quite what I want. When you're recording your vocals, a very important point here is what microphone are you going to choose? And there's a lot of choices. We have a condenser mic and a couple of dynamics. Not really happy with that one. Let's try the Sennheiser on the right there. Let's see what we get. Let's play it from here. You can pick it up?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great.
But it's a long way down. a long way down to the sky. I'm floating around.
Yeah, that one sounds a little muffly to me. Let's try, sing in the middle one, sing in the 58. Pick it up from here.
A long way down to the sky. I'm floating around. The rain comes down and falls right through.
Yeah, that was a good take, guys. I really like that. The only problem with it is the fact that sometimes I get maybe a little bit too much of Jimmy. I think maybe if David and Richard could move in a little bit, I think it would be really cool. It's an omnidirectional mic, you know, and you can hear any shift in balance. You can get the balance yourselves around this one microphone. For some reason it felt funny. Let's just do it again. Can you give me a little bit more output, please, Jimmy?
Sure.
We're at Fantasy Studios, big live room. We're going to record some live drums. As you know, at our project studio, all the drums were done from a drum machine. Pretty dry sounding and not very inspiring. Here, in this big space, we're going to get a killer live drum sound. And what that's going to do, hopefully, is to eliminate the sound of the drums leaking into that open TLM 170. On the hi-hat, we're using a KM84, angled roughly at about 40-odd degrees away from the drums and away from the openness of the hi-hat, so you don't get any air blowing into it. On the snare, a 57, up in the air a little bit. You can get a little closer sometimes, a little bit more presence, but I like to get a bit of air gap between the snare and the skin. Once again, a little bit of low end, take out some lower mids, boost the mids, upper mids and highs, combine the two. Dennis, play a snare drum, bass drum, hi-hat figure, please. Always ask the drummer to do that. You know why? When he's just playing just the bass drum, he's never going to give you the full wally on the bass drum, as he's doing now. Well, what I'm doing now is I'm setting up for a mix. We've got a bunch of music on tape. We've done bass, we've done drums, we've done acoustic guitars, we've done electric guitars, vocals, background vocals, keyboards, the kitchen sink. What we did with these guitar tracks when we first recorded them, we used a single microphone source. It's a mono track. It's very present, it's really up in your face. It's a Marshall amplifier. And it's already been EQ'd, and we placed the mic in the correct position. So you don't have to do too much afterwards. And as you can see, I'm doing very, very little to the EQ, a tiniest bit of upper mids, around between 4,000 and 5,000 cycles. And basically, that's it. I'm not even touching it. It's true that when we did record it, we also put a little bit of compression on too. So that in itself is also making the guitars speak to you at a lower volume, so you don't have to crunch them over in the mix. There's plenty of room for that, and we'll get to playing dynamic games with this later. Let's see if I can get through this mix without messing it up.